Good evening, everyone.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. I love that we have this little opening ritual.
I know. It just kind of happened.
You're looking especially beautiful tonight.
Thank you. You
Co-host.
look very nice yourself.
Well, we're a little underdressed because it's hot here, and it's hot in our studio on Thursday nights. And the material is hot, too. I sound like a 1980s rock and roll DJ. But we have a terrific guest tonight. Stephen Intermill. He is the director of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magick. We have been to the old location. We have been to the expanded location, and we were honored to even present there. In this endeavor with Stephen is Tony Rotunda. You probably remember Tony. Her family's all been abducted by aliens. She had terrific stories. She was a guest. Hopefully she'll be a guest in the future. So Stephen's going to tell us all about the museum, all that kind of good stuff. So I say, let's just roll the opening and bring Stephen on and get going. There exists a realm beyond our wildest dreams, a realm beyond reality that the gatekeepers and guardians have always told us consists of nothing but tricks of the eye, weather balloons, swamp gas, sand cranes, fairy tale myths of monsters, crackpot conspiracy theories, and desperate cries for attention.
We know this realm exists, and it's just beyond the horizon, the preset path, the well-worn walkways where the cynics want us to stay.
Instead, give this a listen. Put on your headphones, adjust your volume, close your eyes, and fasten your mental seatbelts, because the twilight-tinged turnoff from reality's alluring highway is looming just ahead.
We're about to leave the plane of the easily explained, the couldn't possibly be's, and the no way I just saw what I saw's, for the spaces and places where everything is possible, and if you stay long enough, even probable. We're about to take a journey into the outer realms.
And welcome.
Welcome. Hello,
Congratulations. Episode number 70.
Wow. Congratulations to you.
And thank you to our audience. We are super grateful for you. Hello, Lori. Hello, Jessica. Lori is on next week as a guest.
She is.
Talking about crystal skulls. Michelle Bowser. I'm with three smart, lovely ladies. I think you're still allowed to say that in the 21st century without getting in trouble. And we're going to talk about crystal skulls, which is fascinating. So let's do Stephen's bio and then bring him on. Chris, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Chris.
Hello, Colette. Colette had amazing orb experiences last week. We're
always so grateful to her for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, some of the most intelligent behaving orbs responding to her voice. It was really, really cool stuff. Hello, Ronald.
Hi, Ronald.
Okay, let's get into the bio and bring Stephen on screen. Stephen Intermill is the director of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magick. That is in Cleveland. You have to go. As a lifetime occult researcher and enthusiast, Intermill spends much of his time delving into Raymond Buckland's archives and the unearthing of forgotten lore of the artifacts he displays. And there are a ton. They're amazing. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And here we go. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. How are you guys?
It's a pleasure. We're excited. We've been trying to get you on the show for a while, and you're super busy.
Oh, well,
That's good.
This no time like the present. So,
That's right.
So where are you guys at? Are you in some underground bunker someplace?
No, we are on the third floor of what we call the Creative Cottage in Leavittsburg, Ohio. And you're actually in the museum, yes?
I am. I like to do this sort of thing here in the museum so I can get charged by the artifacts that we're surrounded by.
Nice. That is awesome. So let's jump in. We always like to do some things with a guest, always first we talk about how we met, because the networking and the synergy and the energy circles is so important. So we met in 2019, coming up, I think, on 2 years now, at your first location of the museum in Cleveland. And Rosemary Ellen Guiley, our fallen mentor and dear friend, she had connected us with Tony. And Tony said, hey, I have this museum. Why don't you come down? We can talk. And we got to talk to you, of course. We spent a whole day there. We heard your talk to guests. You were talking about you should get a word count sometime. Yeah. You are just a walking encyclopedia of not only about Raymond Buckland, but Gerald Gardner and Alistair Crowley and spirit boards and all that kind of great stuff we're going to talk about tonight. We bought some books. We toured the exhibits. I got punched in the solar plexus by one of the objects that we're going to talk about tonight. And I think it's safe to say we all immediately connected. We knew there was some. Yeah, so very cool.
So you were also nice enough to suggest, we did not know, but just around the corner from where your first location was, is the Christmas Story House. And you suggested that we go check it out. It was amazing. And you have some background and training in museum curation and a connection to the Christmas Story House. You want to share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, so years ago, I used to work for a Christmas Story House. I like to say that I served Ralphie there. I took care of the marketing there. I took care of the museum. So I was really in charge of like Ralphie's BB gun, Randy's snowsuit, and all sorts of other cool, fun things that they had like related to the film. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I found that I had a passion for this sort of thing, and it kind of led into my relationship with Tony, and here we are, almost 5 years later is when Tony and I first connected.
Wow! So before we talk about that, how did you land the Christmas Story House gig?
We moved from New Orleans to Cleveland. I started working for him, answering phones during the Christmas season of 2013. Somehow, you know how like you work someplace and you're like, yeah, I think these people need some of my other skill sets. And I made my way in there, and then I started working for him that summer full time. And yeah, that's how I did it, you know. Cool. You show up and you tell people that you know how to do a few things, and next thing you know, you have a fun gig selling leg lamps.
I love it.
Yeah, right. So, folks, when you get to Cleveland, first you got to go to the Buckland Museum, or it doesn't matter what order you do them in, but get to the museum. But that is so fun if you're an enthusiast. And their gift shop, it reminds me of Spaceballs, where it's like Spaceballs, the this, and the flamethrower. I don't know that they have a Christmas Story flamethrower, but the merchandise is nutty.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun of the gig I had there because, you know, I wound up designing things I never would have, you know, before I worked there. Did I know that I had the ability to create a stuffed animal, you know, and have a Bumpus hound created to my specs.
I love it.
Nice. So let's talk paranormal. That's why we're here. What are your early experiences with what you would call the paranormal or the occult or the strange?
I guess when I lived in Tennessee would have been kind of when things got a little strange. Let's see. I lived near one of the Mammoth Caves, right?
Oh yeah. And
it was in Clarksville, Tennessee, and there's one of the caves. I spent a lot of time there, and everybody knows that there's always some kind of like magical connection, so like caves and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I remember there were two ghosts that lived in the area behind our house. I have a faint recollection of looking out the window and seeing them with my sister. She claimed that they were Civil War ghosts, but I didn't really know. I think I was just kind of playing along with her. But probably the freakiest thing that happened there was in Tennessee. We had a someone named the Bell Witch. Okay. Oh, yeah. So you remember Bloody Mary? That
Mhm.
people put, well, with you guys, you probably play it all the time now as adults. But we would always do I Don't Believe in the Bell Witch. She would do it over and over again, right? And at 100 times she was supposed to come kill you, right? Well, so I'd do it to 99 and then I'd pull back. But the one night I did it to 99, I woke up with a scratch on my back that was 7 inches long. And
Wow.
that kind of, you guys are like into the ghost hunter thing. That kind of put me back from that sort of thing. It's that was my like 9-year-old brain. I mean, I don't think it was our cat because this was the 70s, right? You were always declawing your cats back then, so I don't think it was my cat. I think it was something else. So yeah, that was probably my first real taste of this.
Wow.
That'll put you on a certain course, and we've certainly had our experiences. I had mine when I was 16 with a Ouija board with a spirit who, in my bravado and foolishness at 16, I said, if you're so strong, do something.
Yeah.
And the candles in the room went out, and my heart and the rotation of the world both stopped just long enough to let me know, don't mess with this stuff. So yeah, we don't use the term ghost hunting at all.
Yep.
We only do this stuff when it's going to help somebody who needs needs help. Yeah. So
I did have another experience that I should probably bring up. In my mid-20s, I was going through a very hardcore atheist phase. Like you can only really be in your 20s.
Yeah.
And I went to a spiritualist church here in the Cleveland area. It was in Euclid. I've told this story to my guests many times, but it was just like one of those things. I thought it would be kind of silly, right? Speak with the dead, and the warm-up act didn't disappoint me whatsoever. I was just like, this person has no idea what's going on whatsoever. I'm not sure if they're from this planet. But then the headliner came out, and she nailed me, right? She's just like, oh, there's a one-legged woman behind you. She died last year at the age of 99. She's speaking a language. I think it's some kind of Nordic language. Well, she wants you to know that you're as close now as you were when she was alive. And that completely freaked me out so much that, here I am, operating the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic 20-some years later.
Wow. Because you had a 99-year-old one-legged Nordic woman that was very close with you?
Yeah, it was my grandma.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah, I had a feeling as well. Oh, that's amazing.
That's specific.
And there is, of course, the whole, like, does somebody here know somebody whose name starts with a J, where it's kind of, but then, and I've seen those that have been uncannily accurate as well, but just boom, right out of the box, just nailing it like that. That was an eye-opener.
Mm-hmm.
So we're improvising a little here. We'll get back to the outline, but some of the things you're saying are triggering other things. So when you were in New Orleans, did you have experiences or do research? I mean, that's a hotbed. Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of one of the reasons why we moved to New Orleans, was having an interest in this sort of thing. But it's kind of weird because when I lived in New Orleans, I got a job selling French bistro furniture online. Turned out that I was really good at selling French bistro furniture online. So I kind of spent all my time working. And then at one point, I was like, I'm a Yankee at heart. We're moving back up to Cleveland. And but all the stuff that I learned there seemed to be the things that led to, my gig at A Christmas Story House. So I feel like maybe there was some kind of like divine plan. But I love New Orleans. I spent a lot of time researching, the voodoo there, which was really my absolute favorite thing. I miss being able to go to like voodoo rituals and, experience the rhythm of New Orleans like that.
Yeah. That's someplace we've yet to go, but it's on our list.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. So we're circling in now to the museum.
Yeah. So you mentioned connecting with Tony, and we'd like to know, how did you get the gig being the director of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft?
So it's my understanding that Tony. So just one day I got kind of like, I'd like to do this, do what I'm doing, working in a museum, small museum. You know, I'd like to be able to kind of do my own thing, though. And then I thought about it. I was like, what do I like? Well, I like witchcraft, and I like the occult. And that's something that other people like as well. So, hold on. We got to send some good vibes to the fire truck going by. You know, wherever they're going. Hope everything chills out. Hope everything's good. All right. So I'm working for a Christmas Story House. One day I was just like, you know what? I'd like to do something else. What do I like? I like witchcraft. In the back of my head, I remembered that Raymond Buckland here owned a witchcraft collection. So I emailed Ray, whatever happened to your collection? He forwards the email to Tony, who's the owner of the artifact. She calls me up. She's like, I heard you want to see this stuff. It's all in boxes in my attic. And I was just like, yeah, I'd love to see it. See Alistair Crowley's wand? You know, when can I be there? And I drove down to Columbus, and I could see it. And then it was all in a rental property that she had. And I could see it, but, you know, then I had to convince Jillian, my wife. I'm like, you know, we could do something with this. And she couldn't see it. But then we went down there, and we're looking around, and she saw a poster that we have in there. It's an astrology poster. And then she just saw all this gorgeous, and I could just see how this could frame a room. And so then Jillian's on board. And then Tony and I really hit it off, really became close friends. And we partnered up, and that's how you do it. You find a location first. Didn't really know how well it would go over. So found my friend's record shop. Now, I can't remember if you guys saw the really, really small version of the Buckland Museum or just the really small version of the Buckland Museum. Because when we first opened, it was in a room about half the size of our gift shop that we have now.
Oh, wow.
Didn't really think people were going to show up, but we were just trying to work on a catalog maybe. And then people kept showing up, so we knocked on the wall, built it out again. And then after a while, somebody bought the building and kicked out the record shop that we were part of. And, you know, I'm the kind of person that, you know, you can't really mess with my friends like that. That's not cool. So they kicked out the shop, said we could stay. And I'm like, it doesn't really work that way. And that's when we found this location that served us so well for the last 2 years. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, so I guess you had knocked down a wall or maybe expanded. And
Yeah.
I think we saw just the really small, not the really, really small.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
So we have, and I know this is kind of your question on the list, but we have chosen some terrible places in which to do this kind of work. So anytime that someone hangs out their shingle or opens a place that deals with this kind of material and it's so well received, it's always interesting. So what do you think it is about Cleveland, or was it the collection or a combination? I mean, you've had so much growth in 5 years, so much acceptance. What do you attribute all that to?
Well, I don't know. You know, people are interested in this sort of thing, of course. It's a lot of fun. There's somebody that's pulled over. It looks like they might come barging in here. I got the door locked. So this person's obviously interested.
Yeah.
I think it's because we really don't take our guests for granted. We're very you know, like anybody that wanders in here, I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for, you know, like because a lot of people don't have a lot of time these days, right? And everything's like, so I think people can see the sincerity of just how blessed we feel that people want to come in. Plus, what we show here is, you know, a lot of people come in and they're expecting some kind of freak show, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but what we have here is like sincere expressions of people's beliefs. And I think that really resonates with people quite a bit. And then it's also fun. Ray explained to me, this guy over here, Raymond Buckland, he explained to me that, you know, you got to be careful when you deal with this stuff because nobody really wants to be around like a Lord of the Abyss. I mean, a little bit, but not too much, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we keep it very light and friendly with our guests. And I think that's that resonates with people as well. That they're not coming into like, you know, it's a place, it's an open place, and we really work hard on creating like a comfortable experience for everyone.
Right. And we can attest to that. When we came in, it was, I mean, so many of the objects, and that's what we're going to spend most of the time talking about, the collection, are so powerful.
Yeah.
And yes, there is that one thing that kind of punched me in the gut. That's a little dark side. But in general,
you're not the last.
Yeah, exactly. It's infused with so much. We've been to some places, some museums of the occult, where every time you turn around the corner, you feel like you're going to be sick or you just want to get out there. People are lightheaded and exhausted. That first day, we must have spent 3 hours with you guys in there.
Yeah.
So it definitely is, the vibe is just terrific. And our friends, superstars from Australia, Renata and Ann, are busting to come there. So we're going to have to bring them there. That'll be awesome. Lori says she thinks people are searching. Is that what you're experiencing? They come in and they have questions and
people come in. Every day I have to answer a question that I don't know, but you know, like I guess every day I have to answer questions I've never been asked before, I guess is it. And a lot of times, you know, if I don't know something, you know, well, I don't know that one. We'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, that's what my dad always taught me.
You know, because I mean, people could figure out it pretty quickly if you're just gonna like just randomly make up something, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, it's all day long. It's interesting people. I always like to say that I get the best guests that come through Cleveland.
Yeah.
You have to have an open mind to walk in.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to the collection, and let's start with, I guess, some of your favorite items.
So I think my absolute favorite piece in the collection was the Crescent Moon headdress, as worn and owned by Rosemary Buckland, also known as Lady Rowan, first American Wiccan high priestess. Or I guess first Wiccan high priestess in America. The Crescent Moon headdress that we have, I mean, to me, that emanates everything that we do here.
Yeah.
Wicca, of course, we revere God as well as a goddess, but the goddess is a little more. So having her you know, like her representation with the high priestess's headdress, I feel is like really our key piece. So I consider that really the spirit of the collection. But I also I feel like the mandrake root. It's over 200 years old. It's carved to look like a woman carrying children. I feel like that's the beating heart of the collection, because this is really something that goes back to the cunning woman at the edge of town, right? The one who we consider. Oh, thanks, Michael. Thank you. The cunning woman at the edge of town, right? The one that you go see when you're like, I got a problem. I got a wart. My mom said you could help. You go see him a few months later. Yeah, I got a farm. I need kids. Well, this thing being a fertility totem would definitely have been used in times of need like that. I always think someday somebody's going to come in that's going to be a descendant, right, from that mandrake root, and we're all just going to psychically know, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool. Very cool. So give folks an overview of different types of, like, there's lots of rings, there's lots of spirit boards, but you feel free to, like, if someone was to say to you, what kind of things can I expect when I come to the museum? What would you tell them?
Well, you would see genuine artifacts of the occult, and not just see the pieces, but hear stories about them. We have things that Ray originally collected, and then Tony really expressed to me early on, and I completely agree, that this isn't just like a bunch of stuff that Ray collected gathering cobwebs, but it's still a living, breathing, growing collection.
Right.
So she started off, got some real heavy hitters right off the bat, where she acquired pieces from writers like Christopher Penczak and Janet and Stuart Farrar, who, if you know anything about like modern witchcraft and Wicca, these are people that you've heard of. We have things, one of my absolute favorite pieces just showed up 2 years ago. It's a staff that belonged to Oberon Zell Ravenheart. Very, very legendary neo-pagan elder. I mean, you see this guy walking down the street and you're like, well, there goes Gandalf, right? True wizard. He, I've known about him since I was a little kid. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with couple shows. You remember That's Incredible? You remember?
Yeah.
Remember Real People? Well, he
Yeah.
was on Real People because he grew unicorns, right? And then he was in our place 2 years ago. I felt like I was being inspected the whole time. Last time he saw this collection was 1970.
Wow.
So he sent his apprentice wizard in with his staff a couple months later, which was such a beautiful, beautiful, cool feeling. So that is one piece. I don't think anybody's walked in the last 2 years without me pointing that one out to them.
You
Because
must have just missed that.
Yeah,
You probably
I think
did.
It
yeah,
was,
because you guys were there in the summer, and this was late summer when it showed up. Let's see. We recently acquired an altar that belonged to one of the true legends of American witchcraft, Dr. Leo Louis Martello. And that is a piece that I love sharing with people. He's essentially the founder of what's known as the Strega tradition of witchcraft, which is a Sicilian Italian tradition of witchcraft. And we have his altar here. And that one's really great because not only was Leo an early Wiccan, he was also an early gay rights activist. And let's face it, in this worldview, that is, I would say that like many of my guests are LGBTQ plus, right? So being able to share like a key piece of not only Wiccan history, but also like gay witch history is so cool. Let's see what else. Yeah, it's just the things keep coming in. Matt Orrin, the writer of Psychic Witch, which is a great contemporary witchcraft book. He donated his spirit board recently. It's number 1 of 50. And we're going to bust it out this October and see if we could see what's going on with Ray.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
That's
That is
amazing.
awesome. What was I going to say? We have a question here that I'm going to get to. So word is rippling out into the world that you guys do things first class, and it's an amazing space, and that's awesome and not surprising at all.
Yeah.
So how would you say, so from what I understand, the collection that Tony had is very expansive. Is everything you have on display, or is there another growth cycle coming?
There's a lot of pieces not shown. There's some things that just the collection spent some time in New Orleans where let's just say that some things aren't necessarily in the best shape, right?
Okay, right.
So there's some things that we avoid for that. Some things we just don't have space for. You know, there's just like so many cool pieces that You know, the trouble is if we had a bigger location, it would be really difficult to manage a larger location. So I always feel like where we're at right now is the perfect size. But if somebody did wanted to give us a grant of $1 million or so, you know, we could use twice the space here and it would still look completely full.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think you answered our good friend Craig Ansell from Three Beards Podcast. Any piece in the collection that you keep locked away and show to very few?
Yeah. There is it's one piece that we've only pulled out once, and that was when Tamara von Forslund was in town. It was a Australian Aborigine pointing bone, which I am not very excited about. It'll kill you, you know. So that's probably the one piece that I'm not always that quick where I want. You know, there's also you know, Tony and I at first. There was a lot of back and forth about showing the box, which I'm sure we'll talk about, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Tony, very intelligent, very pragmatic. She realizes that sometimes you need something on display at all times because, you know, if you don't know where it is, you know, no matter where you have something stored, is it secure enough?
Yeah.
Where somebody doesn't make their way in there, go open it up in the parking lot, subway across the street. So, yeah, we keep the box on display at all times just because we want to be able to know exactly where it is.
That's smart.
You know.
So too.
I think there's some other benefits too when we get to the box. There are a couple things. Yeah. Go ahead.
You're the guy carrying around the suitcase with the launch codes, right? You pretty much keep an eye on that all the time, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
My dad did that when he was in the Navy, for real. Yeah, so I mean, you do. Yeah, and there are some things there are some things that Tony's consulted with us on.
Yeah.
Because these objects have real power, and it's a big responsibility you guys have undertaken.
Like
so,
a bee?
What's that?
Did she talk to you about the ball with the beads?
Yeah, that was one of the first things we consulted with her on that. That was super, super heavy. That's still kind of in the closed case files for obvious reasons. But that was heavy. Yeah, when I held that thing, I felt like I was being pulled forward in a vortex. Like you were on the edge of a ski slope and you were about to go down a very steep incline. You know, I had to pull myself back. There's the Weeping Woman in Parkersburg. It's the same thing. That statue, when you hold her in the cemetery, when you hold her hands, you get launched into a vortex, and that's what that object had. Those same properties. Really powerful, powerful stuff. But
so, speaking of the energy around some of the objects, can you talk a little bit about some of the really energetically active objects? I mean, I'm sure they all are, but some more than others, right?
Well, I mean, of course, we have what we've been talking about here. The mirrors have some interesting activity in them. So one of them's very inert. Nobody ever sees anything in that one, but I'll tell you why, because I have it turned the other way because it looks more attractive that way. We have another one. It's the rectangular mirror. That one's the one that the interpersonal dramas occur when people stare into it. Probably there was a funny experience where a guest was staring into it, right? And she looked like one of my friends back in the 80s, right? She had like big goth hair and she had black lace gloves and she's staring into it and she's like, she's doing it again. And I was just like, ooh, juicy, what's going on? So it turned out that it was her roommate drinking her almond milk. But, you know, she's getting into that. Probably getting into the toothpaste as well. Gross, right?
yeah.
But let's see. But I mean, that's fun. But I mean, I've seen people to their relationships have been over staring into the
Wow.
mirror. And that's not good. It's kind of awkward when you're like, oh, check out the gift shop on your way out.
Yeah.
Wow. When we presented there, and that was shortly after you had moved into the new space, I think within weeks.
Yeah.
Didn't somebody see a hooded figure?
I did. I saw as we were presenting, I saw a figure come out of one of the mirrors. I don't remember which one, but it was toward the back of the room, and this figure came out.
I know whose it was. So, you know about the mirror, right? This is your mentor, Rosemary Ellen Guiley. We have a mirror that it's her name on the back of it.
Yeah.
That's the one that the kids see the shadows in.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's always kids between the 9 and 11. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we got kids 9 and 11. They start seeing shadows. I have parents that look like they're like, my kid was pretty normal before we walked in. Now they're talking about seeing shadows. Cool. Right? Yeah. It was stressful for me. So I buried Rosemary's mirror in the corner there.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Interesting. Yeah. Michael saw the hooded figure too.
I remember that.
We have one of Rosemary's scrying mirrors that she made, and 2 days before she died, she used that mirror to show up in my office, our old studio.
Yeah.
And she was just standing there between the mirror, her picture, which is behind us now that she loved, her favorite, and she was kind of testing the boundaries at that point. So her mirrors definitely were powerful. She had a real knack. So Stephen, from our friend Colette in English, she says, I don't believe in haunted items, but have you got a really haunted item in your museum? She says, it's just the person's energy left on the object. I'm thinking that's probably the case with most of the collection. It's just the energetic imprint.
I mean, the people we celebrate in here are people who had heavy energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, it'd be weird if the stuff wasn't like caked with it.
Right. And of course, a lot of those objects are ceremonial. So they're gonna be even more charged, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of that reason.
And people that are very like you and Michael and with Tony and Stephen and so many people that are sensitive and do this kind of work go in and are almost recharging them by focusing and honoring them. And so we're gonna talk about the box really soon. And folks, I promise you, it's very interesting, some of the stories. Would you term anything in the museum haunted?
I don't know. I never really look at it that way.
Yeah, I thought I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the box itself, I don't know if it's haunted or it's what's going on in there, like in the quantum level. But I wouldn't really say that. Like, you were on Tim Shaw's show the other day, right?
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of haunted stuff, right? I don't know if I'd feel excited to be around it. Somebody recently brought in a giant stack of Ouija boards, and they have tapes on them explaining to me their level of what's going on with them and short descriptions. This one's mischievous. This one's this. But I don't know if I'd call those haunted. I'd just call them particularly charged Ouija boards.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with these. I don't really want them on display. I don't want to use them. I don't know where to put them. I don't want to just leave them laying around for somebody to pick up. Yeah. So I'm like, great. These are my problem now.
Folks, if there are any serious talking board collectors, or if you know any serious talking board collectors, I know there are people that have hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Reach out to Steven and maybe help him with his product. Now, you mentioned Tamara von Forsland. That's a one layer of connection. She was Anne and Renata from Australia, who we were talking about, their mentor and their patroness. So Renata just arrived at Anne's, and she's picking up on a big box. So the box actually is what are the dimensions of the box, Steven? It's about a 1 by 1, 1.5 by 1.5,
maybe like 2 by 3.
Okay. But the energy is big.
The energy
Oh, yeah.
is huge.
So I'll set it up before I turn it over to you. So we come into the space, and I'm like a human EMF meter. So my solar plexus is always very sensitive to changes, and boy, it's like someone took their fist and hit me like right under my ribs. And I turned, and at the old space, it was in the back right corner. And I said, probably to Tony, "What is that?" And so let's do this in parts, Stephen. What actually is it? How did it come to be? And then you told us some stories that were amazing that I hope you'll share with the audience, one in particular. But let's start with, how did that box come to be?
So this is the tale is told to us by Raymond Buckland. He got a phone call one day from one of his friends. It says a guy named Tom. Tom says, "Hey man, why don't you come hang out, drink some beer, we'll watch the game." People that knew Buckland, they know he was a very sociable person. And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So he goes down the Lower East Side of New York to this guy's place. He walks up to the 5th floor. His friend closes the door, locks it behind him, and says, "Yeah, there's another reason why I called you here. I conjured something and I can't get rid of it." Buckland says, "Not my demon, not my problem." Right? He tries to leave, and his friend stops him. And he says, "I've lost my job. I've lost my wife. I'm about to lose my apartment. Please." So Buckland's like, "All right." He goes home. He gets a collection of grimoires, occult texts that he had just purchased. He comes back and he gets to work. He said it took about 3 days, but when they were convinced that this entity was in the box, they seal it with incantations and then some framing wires so the lid doesn't just pop open, right? He takes it home, puts it on his shelf as a trophy. Yeah, so that's the backstory about the demon in the box. When Tony and I, years ago, we went to see Ray do a comedy thing in Millersburg, Ohio. Tony brought the box, and Ray was looking at it, and he just said, "Well, this is your problem now," which I thought was really kind of cute and funny. I was like, okay. But the thing is Ray never let it go. He would call me on the phone, and he'd say things like, "Stephen, I was scrying, and I saw an image of somebody offering you a significant amount of money to open the box. Don't take it." And I'd be like, "Okay, sure, that's going to happen." Of course, that weekend, somebody offered me, first it was 100, then it was like 200, 300. I was like, "Hey, man, Ray said significant." And that was 1,000. And let's put it this way, that would have paid my rent for a few months back at our old spot. And I was like, no. Ray said, "No, not going to do it." He called me up one day. One day somebody came in. They wanted to get into the case that the box was in. And I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And his statement was, "Something called out to me. It wants to be friends." And I'm like, "I think you're getting the wrong signal here. I don't think that's what's going on." At some point, it looks like he was going to put his hand through the glass, so I had to put him in a headlock, walked him out, locked the door, called up Jillian, and I said, "Hey, that coworker of yours that wants to sell us the case, the one that you need the special tools to get into, that's shatterproof? It's really expensive, right? I think we need to buy it." So then we have it in this nice case that you can't get into. Then, we had its name on display, and kids would come in, and they would scream the name of the demon. And, if you know anything about demonology, you know that there's certain things about demons and their names. And one thing is if you have a demon's name, you can control it. They don't really like that. So they'd be stirring it up. They would leave. I'd get a migraine. Not very cool. One day the kids did that. Probably about 10, 20 minutes later, a really wonderful guest. She was a psychic from Rochester, New York, who knows, she may be watching this now. All I remember is she looked like Endora from Bewitched, right?
Oh, yeah.
But she was like super cool. She had this like purplish flowing, and she comes in and she's just like, the vibes here are wonderful. She goes and stands next to the box and proceeds to vomit all over my floor.
Oh, wow.
Jillian says, I'm covering the name. And ever since then, we've had the name covered. Of course, now it's got a salt ring around it. Now I keep upgrading the piece of tourmaline that I charge every full moon and put underneath it. So yeah, we more and more lockdowns on this,
Yeah.
I'd say to Ray, why don't we just throw it in a volcano? And he's like, okay, Steven, now we got Demon in a volcano. Great idea. I'd say, well, why don't we bury it? And he's like, because people go dig things up that you bury all the time. And just everything where I was like, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Ray had already thought that one out. And so, no.
Wow. So I had recognized the name. I have several books of demonology and, I was raised Catholic. So that's a big part of life. So I remember I said to Tanya, I know exactly what that is. I'm going to look it up in this book. I recognize, there was a sketch and all this kind of stuff. And I did. I said the name, and Tanya said, yeah, don't ever say that name. And I'm like, but it's a cool name. And she's like,
Stop
do not say the name. So that was the first and last time with that. But man, it just shows the folks we talk about all the time on this show, messing around with Ouija boards, going into abandoned buildings and poking the bear and being disrespectful and trying to make things angry so that you'll get a better reading on your thing. These are serious things. I mean, that demon called out to that dude, and he was susceptible enough in that moment to come in and try to, release that thing. So there are serious things out there. I'm very glad that Stephen and Tony are the custodians of an object like that.
Yes.
We all should be.
Mm-hmm.
We all should be. So Craig says he wants to see that book. Okay, brother, when we finally get together,
right.
I will share that book with you, and I'll show you exactly what it is, but I'm not allowed to say the name. So Michael says that he has a Ouija board collection. He'd gladly buy some from you so you guys can talk about that. We're paranormal wheeling dealing. So anyway, let's see here now.
Well, I wanted to add too. Please. I mean, you were talking about how you felt like you were kind of punched in the stomach, and I remember looking at items. I had no knowledge yet of the box, and I was over here. Like those who are listening know exactly what I'm talking about. But I was over on the other side of the museum looking at some of the items on display, and I just kept feeling like this energy coming from that corner of the room, and I didn't know what it was. And then Joey said, oh, he did come over here and looked, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. That's the energy that I'm feeling from all the way across the room.
Not the best vibes.
No.
It's really
so
not.
in general, as you were creating the collection, setting it out, do you get communications? Do you get messages? This is going to sound like a weird comparison, but stay with me. I think it works. Our daughter is very into ball-jointed dolls. They're very lifelike. They're very expensive. They have personalities. And if she puts clothes on them that they don't like, the clothes will be moved. Or they'll change their hands. Or if they're next to another one whose personality they don't care for, they'll turn away. Have you had those kinds of experiences where an object or someone attached to an object was like, this is not the right place for this, or this should not be placed in proximity to this? Like, how much?
I have not, but Tony has. And Tony's just like, we got to move. So.
Yep, there she is.
Yeah.
And she's absolutely right. It is pretty intense energy.
So all these people are saying we got to go to the museum. So
we do field trip, everyone.
Stephen's still being very cautious, rightfully so, as everything is sorting out and all of that kind of stuff. We
We are as well.
But maybe it'll be next year. Who knows? But we're working on some things, maybe with Tim Shaw and with you to do some things, which could be cool. We're going to let you guys know, and then you better all get up here and over. And Renata and Anna get on an airplane. Craig come up from Florida. Lori come from West Virginia. And we will have a big Into the Outer Realms, Black Cat Lounge, Buckland Museum shindig. It'll be cool. So we're holding you all to it. Tony's here with us. Hello, Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Tony. Tony and I were talking earlier today, scheming and planning for things for the future.
Well, that leads us in. We're getting down to the end here. So where are you at? Is the museum open? How can people come? How do people get in touch with you? Arrange for a tour? Let's start with all that.
So really the best thing that we have is our website, bucklandmuseum.org. That is a great way to schedule your time here. I do all sorts of, I keep it limited, 6 people at a time, and that's something that happened due to COVID. I might expand it to maybe 8 people at a time, but people like the intimate groups. Mm-hmm. That is really the key thing. People like coming in here. The way it was pre-COVID, it was essentially like everybody in, right? Which was good, but doesn't really lend itself to an intimate exploration of the collection.
Right.
You know, and now we start off 6 people or less, right? Give them a history of the collection, how our founder Raymond Buckland started it, why he started it. Talk about the collection's history a bit. Talk about the different sections that each area explores, and then I shut up for a bit so people could actually just enjoy. Yeah, but I'm a showman at heart.
Yeah.
My friend John says I'm 51% Smithsonian, 49% P.T. Barnum, right? So I gotta talk about the stuff. So then I just start interrupting and I just start pointing out favorite pieces to everyone in the collection. So.
Yeah, Michael said you're a wonderful tour guide, and we've seen you on 2 different occasions doing your thing, and I will attest. And I'm a tour guide myself, and you have a knack. You're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
Really are awesome. Yeah. So I guess you're being cautious now. So any special events like on the books right now?
Let's see. Right now, I'm really concentrating on our rotating exhibits. I built a side room. Actually, Tony built the side room here in the museum, where now we have rotating galleries there, and then we have the big wall, which was our rotating exhibit as well before. So kind of focusing on curating those 2 sections. So that's really it. We'll probably do some live, Zoom kind of classes going forward. Hopefully COVID just really slowly disappears, because what I really miss is the live, people coming in and presenting and all that stuff. Hopefully that'll, get rolling again soon, right?
Right on. Yeah, I think we're all getting restless and ready to go. And it's been an interesting experience. And energetically, Tanya and I were talking about it. We're going to be doing some shows, just how much the energy has changed. I'm probably going back to 2012 and the initial shifts. Mm-hmm. Then the kind of matrix kind of things, let's just say, that happened 2016, and old books that were written predicting them, and so on and so forth, and it all kinds of ties it. Here's a question. Have you, through all of this in the last 12 or 15 months, have you felt a change in the energy of the exhibits or the overall?
If anything, this has become more of a chill. Because I do a little thing where I talk about a certain piece. It's a poppet, but it's a very strange poppet. And I talk about how I had it at my house at first, and just one day it felt like the shadow rolled over me there. But here I feel really protected. I always feel that Gerald, Monique, and Ray and Alistair, even Alistair, right? They look over us. And I think more than anything, I feel like the energy in here has gotten more protective, more, with the idea that the people coming in, they kind of need a psychic hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can kind of feel it when you walk in there.
Right. So, folks, in summation, this is so important. Mm-hmm. This is just like in our work. And when we were on Tim's show the other night, we got a nice comment too. Not everything is a demon. Not everything is dark. I mean, you're talking about shelter from a big global storm, cosmic storm, and it's a safe zone. So that's important. So Stephen, I want to thank you so much for spending the hour with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I have a question here. So I see this little question here, or this comment from Colette. We have a museum like yours, lots of old objects from different centuries in Hinckley, like Leicester Haunted Antiques Museum. Where do I find out about this? This sounds wild.
Cool. Colette, if you could put a URL or otherwise let Stephen know about that, please go ahead and do that. Steve, is there anything before we let you go? Anything we left out or you really want to say or plug or anything?
Well, let's just say follow our Instagram, right? Our Facebook. Great way to find out about like what we have going on here. Cool. The shows that we have going on right now are amazing. We talked about Tim Shaw a couple times, out of Buffalo, New York. We have a collection of his, what is going on out there? Chaos outside. We have a collection of his spiritualism ephemera, right? Advertisements, etc. And that's only up until the end of the month. That is with the show with Julie K. Gray, really wonderful photographer who had a near-death experience that she's still processing. And it's really fun, interesting, unique work. So that show is great. We have a retrospective. We have a Magic Circle. Were you guys here? Did you see the Magic Circle when you came and spoke?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, so shortly after you spoke, we had a Magic Circle painted. And the artist that did that, Jesse Bransford, we have a retrospective of his work going on. It's 24 years of exploring the occult in art together. And really strong show. So, of course, I want to mention that stuff. Something we're not going to be able to do this year, but it's a big thing here in Cleveland that I think everybody should go to, is the Haunted Garage Sale. That is July 31st. It's going to be in Bay Village. Just Google Cleveland Haunt Club, and you can find details about that. I think that's something that would resonate with your audience here.
Awesome.
Other than that, Tony and we're always got our feelers out there with some stuff here and there. So, you'll all find out about them soon enough.
Yeah, cool. And we'll definitely spread the word as the stuff comes in on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When are you guys going to come visit us?
Oh, we'll message you and figure that out. Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Hopefully we can coordinate with Tony.
That come out in July. That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Right on. Thank you so much.
Thanks to all the visitors here in the Outer Realms for listening to me yammer on about the collection.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
and Colette's going to send me that link and I'll email it to you. About that museum in England. So, all right. The thank yous are rolling in. All right, sir. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you guys soon.
All right. That was awesome. That was
awesome.
an awesome hour. I am Very, very excited before we leave you. Next week, we talked about Lori and Michelle are going to come on, talk about Crystal Skulls. You're going to talk about Max, who's one of the big 12. Cool experiences. June 24th, Lapaka Kapanui, Hawaiian storyteller, author, master storyteller. It's going to be awesome. In July, you're going to do readings the first week. We're going to have Paramerica father-daughter research team. Charlotte Koza, and she has California Haunts, her show.
Yeah.
She's going to come on our show. We'd love to reciprocate.
She's great.
July 22nd, the RTC is tackling Antarctica. Then Michael Giannetti is coming back. Michael's with us tonight. We're going to talk. We're going to split the show into threes. We are going to talk about aliens, UAPs. I think the disclosure is the same old garbage from the 1950s. We don't know what it is. It could be the other guys. We have no proof of, like, you know, typical whitewash. I'm not even going to be nice about it. Incredibly disappointing. But we will talk about that with Michael and what it means. And we all know the truth. It's out there.
But you know,
it's
we
in
can
there.
talk too. I have a different feeling than you do about that, but we'll talk about that.
What's that? Which part?
This disclosure. I told you.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that when we.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't trust him. Then the second part of the hour and a half with Michael, we are going to talk about witch practicing.
That's right.
Awesome. So that's exciting. And then Michael really loved all the questions. So we'll do a half an hour Q&A with the three of us and Michael, talking about what's on your mind. August 26th, you're going to be traveling. You need to do some things for your dad in Kentucky. So my co-pilot that night is going to be Craig Ansel from Three Beards. You know how much we love and respect Craig. He and I, we were going to talk about something, but we've changed our minds. We're going to talk about alien abduction and hybrids.
Nice.
Awesome. My good friend back behind me, John Mack, in spirit, good friend. I never met him. Subvert the dominant paradigm. That's what he would say about this disclosure nonsense. Then we're going to have September 2nd, Andy and Julie Oyen.
Yes.
They have done incredible work on this triangle between Colorado and Texas, tying in the Roswell crash. They may have been heading to Guadalupe Peak in Texas when they crashed. That ship, we watched a 90-minute special that they did. We loved it. They reached out to us, said, check out our stuff. We're going to have them on the show. You'll do more readings. September 16th, host a Blackout Lounge.
Yes.
A very cool guy. Grew up in the Spiritualist Church, was at the Stump, talking about this stuff. Tim Shaw. Tim is energy. Great stuff. I am super excited. That takes us into September, and then we're pushing 100 episodes. You and I are working hard on that big grant that we're working on, so that we hope we can bring you new programming, get a van, get on the road, help out more people. Thank you all for watching. Have a terrific evening. Have a terrific weekend. We will see you next time. Time for the new clothes, right? Join us next week when we go into the outer realms,
where the paranormal and the supernatural are just
the normal and the natural. We are so grateful for you all.
Mess it up that time.
You totally did, and I wouldn't even draw attention to your victory. But all right, guys, take care. We'll see you around.